chapter 2 of Song of Songs, or Song of Solomon, depending on what version of the Bible that you have. If you have an older King James, it's going to probably say Song of Solomon. If you have a new King James, or you have into the new revised versions, it will probably say Song of Songs. Okay? All right, let's look to the Lord. Our Father and our God, it is again that we have come to thank you for blessing us and giving us another opportunity to come out to fellowship and to acknowledge you as our Lord. We thank you, Master, for the keeping power that you have extended to each one of us, for giving us a measure of our strength and health, and for allowing us to stay clothed in our right mind. We ask you, Lord, to continue to guide our footsteps and grant us wisdom, that we may not just hear your word, but we may live our lives in a way that will bring honor to your name. Thank you, Master, for these blessings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Any questions about anything we've talked about so far in Song of Solomon? Any questions so far? All right. Well, we're in chapter 2. Again, as I mentioned to you before, Song of Solomon. If you have an older version of the Bible, you will note that it probably says Song of Solomon. If you have a newer version, it probably will say Song of Songs. And the reason why it says Song of Songs is because this particular one is looked at as being the epitome of a love song, okay? If you have an older version, then it says Song of Solomon, because it is a song that we believe was written by Solomon to show his love for one of his wives. Now, if you, as I mentioned to you before, there are some that will say to you that Song of Solomon is not a love story that deals with a man and a woman, but it is a prophetic look at the love that Christ has for us and that we should have for him. However, that is the minority opinion. And if you read Song of Solomon, it is my belief that you will appreciate the majority view, which this is the love of a man for a woman. And as I mentioned to you before, oftentimes people don't like to look at it as the love of a man for a woman, because we like to act like that in the Bible that kind of love or lust did not exist, okay? But here's what we know, that from the moment man was created, that there was something in him that had a desire to have a woman more than as a good friend, right? And vice versa. There was a desire for a woman to have a man for more than just a good friend. And so that's what Song of Solomon deals with, all right? So let's look at chapter 2. Another thing I said to you, I guess before we get any further, is I mentioned to you that one of the problems a lot of people have with teaching Song of Solomon is because sometimes it's difficult to differentiate who's doing the talking. Is it the man, or is it the woman? And so oftentimes people just kind of overlook it. I think it's extremely important not to overlook it, simply because we live in a society where people need to know how to love one another. And when I say love one another, I don't mean the way you love me as your pastor or the way you love your best friend. I think that spouses need to know how to love one another in a way that they can be locked up together for life and enjoy each other for life. Because one of the problems that we have in many relationships, marital relationships, is that the reason why people don't stay together is because the relationships become boring. That anybody here that is married and with your spouse, you certainly don't have to amen that. But if you know it to be true and you ain't ashamed, then you can go ahead and say amen, all right? And that's what happens. Now, when marriages become boring, it makes it very easy for the devil to get in the middle of things, okay? Because when things are boring, then that means that the wolf can slip in the back door, okay? The wolf or the wolfette, either one, right? The wolf can slip in the back door, wolfette can slip in the front door, and you can have chaos. So that's why we're gonna look at it, so that everyone can learn. So that means also that if you're in a boring relationship, a boring marriage, I should say, because biblically speaking, if you're in a relationship and you're not married, then this is not your outline. This is not your book to go home and practice, okay? This is the book that you practice if you, in the Bible, if you are legally married, have a marriage license at home with a proper stamp on it, and you know, it is your spouse in the house, okay? Everybody good so far? All right, here we go then, okay? So here it says, and this is the woman speaking here in chapter 2. I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valley. As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. Okay? I am the rose of Sharon, the lily of the valley. As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. Okay? So when she says that I am the lily, and I am as a lily among thorns among the daughters. Does anyone know who she's referring to when she says the daughters? Okay, I'll tell you. If you did not know, Solomon had many wives. He also had many concubines, which means he had, in Solomon's, in his culture, you could have as many women as you could afford, okay? So, for example, a man like you could only have one half of a wife, okay? I'm just teasing with you, you know that, right? Okay. But you could have as many wives as you could afford. So he had many wives and many concubines, all right? So what she starts out by saying is that I am like a lily among thorns, okay? She's saying to him that all of these other women may profess to love you, but their love is prickly. In other words, their love is not pure, and their love might damage you. But she's saying, that's not me. I have the kind of love for you that will only prosper you, okay? That's how she views herself among all these other women. She says, as the apple tree among the trees of the wood, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet in my taste. So here she says that when she look at how he is to her, right? If you think about a forest has a lot of trees, right? Okay, now all the trees offer one thing. All the trees that have leaves on them offer shade, correct? Every tree that has leaves offers shade. But does every tree offer that which will nourish you? No. But the apple tree does. And so what she says to him is this, that you nourish me. The love that you give to me is enough to keep me alive. And not only is it enough to keep me alive, but it is that which is the best at keeping me alive. And so that's how I view you. Now, if you think about that, that is a love that is difficult to ever break, right? If she's telling him that I have the kind of love that I will never hurt you, that other people may say they love you, but for them it's what they can get out of you. But for me, it's different. My love for you is that which makes it such that I want to always benefit you. And then she says, and that's how your love is for me as well. That your love is so great in my life that if I had nothing else but your love, I could still survive. Now that's love, isn't it? If a man loves you so much that if you had nothing else, you could still survive. That's a heck of a man right there, isn't it? I know that's right. Every woman needs at least one love like that in their lifetime. And hopefully that's the last love you'll ever need. If you get one like that, you keep them. Hold on to them, all right? Okay, all right. But they are unfortunately few and far between. Okay? All right. She says, he brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. So again, she notes that what? That he protects me with his love. Remember in chapter 1, how did she describe herself? She described herself as being what? Not comely. In other words, she says, to me, I'm ugly, right? And what made her think she was ugly? Because of the darkness of her skin and how her other siblings treated her. So her thought process was that means that I'm not as attractive as the rest of you are. But she says in this particular verse, right, that when he takes her to the banquet house, and a banquet house would symbolize, a festive place to go, somewhere where royalty may go, right? And she said, but when I go there with you, it's different. Because when I go there with you, no matter how I may have felt about myself, and no matter how other people may have talked about me, your love covers me. That's that banner over me. So your love sets me apart. So when people see me now, they hold me to high esteem because of who I'm with and because I'm with you. And they know that if you pick me, there must be something special about me. Okay? Now that's an indication right there of how caring he is for her. That he makes her feel like she now has high self-esteem. You remember last week when we talked about her, we recognized that in her mind, she had low self-esteem, right? But here she says about him that he's changed that when he's with her. Anytime he's with her, her esteem grows infinitely because she even thinks to her own self, if you chose me, I must be wonderful because you could have any woman you want, but I'm the one that you selected, okay? Now, the practical thing about that is simple. Brothers, I'm going to help you out just a little bit here, okay? We only have a few of y'all in here, but I'm going to help you out anyway, okay? The practical thing about that is this, is that do you not know that if you can make a woman feel good about herself, she'll take a bullet for you? Did you know that? Did you? Are you laughing because she said, I ain't going to take a bullet for you? Or are you laughing because you said, I don't believe you? Yeah. I don't know if any of you all ever watched, it comes on, I can't think of the station that it comes on, but it's called For My Man or something like that. Have you ever seen that, For My Man? All right, now, what would make a woman risk jail time? What would make a woman, and not only that, get caught and face 25 years and not tell on the man? Now, I know somebody says she's crazy. Well, you're right, she's crazy, but you know what it is? She's crazy in love. She's crazy in love. Because we say, you don't want that kind of love. But listen, let me tell you something. I know you ladies out there, most of y'all, not all of you all, but 92% of you all are saying she was crazy in love or not. I don't want that kind of love from a man. People may say that, but let me tell you what I believe. I could be wrong, ladies, because I've been in this body all my life, okay? I believe everybody wants that kind of love. You just don't want the person to cause you harm if you got that kind of love. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody wants that kind of love where that person makes you feel like you are on top of the world, that you are worth $1 billion. That's the kind of love you really want. She's saying that she's found it in him. So what I'm saying to the brothers in the house is that the way she describes her love is as if she's saying, I'll take a bullet for my man. I mean, that's the way she describes it, okay? So what I'm saying, and if you think about what he's doing to cause her to feel that way, it doesn't talk about him at this point, right? At this point, it doesn't talk about him giving her diamond rings, does it? It doesn't talk about him taking her out to fancy places, buying her houses. As a matter of fact, she says what? She's a hard worker herself. All it talks about is how he makes her feel, not what he gives to her. So what I'm saying, that's the signal, I think, to every man that has a wife or is trying to get a wife. It also says something to mothers about how they should train up their sons, and fathers, how you should train up your sons. Because if you want your son to be an asset in his marriage, right? And if you're going to be an asset in the marriage, then you ought to treat your spouse in a way that she feels like she is always on top of the world. That she feels like that she is the most important thing in your life. That when you wake up in the morning, your every thought is on what you can do to make her life better. And when you go to bed at night, that's the last thing on your mind. What you can do to make her life better. And you ought to also teach your sons that way. Because if you teach your sons that way, that means that your daughter-in-law won't be bad all the time. Okay? Because that way, what you will know is that she will be brought up the right way. Now, I can tell you, in our culture, we tend to do the opposite. Okay? Because we tend to teach our sons, don't you trust her. Don't you trust nobody. Even though I know my mother watches this sometime, but that's okay. We both old enough now that we can tell the truth and shame the devil, right? Like my mother used to teach me, don't you trust them husbands out there. Okay? You trust not one of them. Okay? Now, that makes you suspicious right off the bat, doesn't it? Right? And that's the way things are most of the time. But what we need to be teaching our sons is, you know what? If you're going to make that woman, your spouse, then you need to treat her like she is more important to you than your mother. But that's not what we do. Most mothers want to ensure that she remains the most important female in his life. But that's not what, according to this book, that's not what ought to happen. Okay? Right? And that's why the Bible says what? For this cause shall you leave your mother and father, take a wife, and the two shall become one. And that's what we need to be teaching. Now, if every mother and every father had taught every man in here like that, every woman in here would have a different opinion of men. Right? Think about it. Right? If the first man you met, the first boyfriend you had, let's say, if the first boyfriend you had treated you like I just said, your opinion of men would be totally different today. But if your first boyfriend was a dog, or if you're right, then that kind of colored what you thought about men from that point on. And you were suspicious from that point on. And even today, that hadn't changed in your mind. That you're still suspicious, right? All right, now, because this is the standard line that we get from women, right? All men are dogs. Right? You know what people often say? And I often tell women, you wish your man was like a dog. You know why? Because dogs are loyal. Right? Or you get a dog, he'll lay his life down for you. He can be this big, and a bear can come, and that dog won't run nowhere. He'll fight to the last breath. Okay? Now the average man, if a bear comes, you better hope you can outrun him. Okay? Verse 5 says, stay me with flagons, comfort me with apples, for I am sick of love. Now, when she says I am sick of love, what she means is I am love sick, right? I am love sick. Now, flagons can be interpreted two ways, but the way that it's most interpreted is like a raisin cake. But a flagon can be looked at that which contains wine, right? The reason why we interpret this as not something that contains wine, because later on when she's talking about, being drunk with love, she actually uses the word wine. Okay? Everybody good? So since flagon can be interpreted as a cake, what this is saying is, when it says, stay me with flagons, right? Or fill me, because raisin bread was considered a delicacy, okay? So stay me with flagons and comfort me with apples, for I am sick of love. And basically what this is saying is that you make me feel, you ever heard the term comfort food? You know how comfort food just makes you feel like, it's going to be all right? And so really what she is saying is, to me, you are comfort food. If I can get enough of you in me, I just feel like, I don't care what's happening in the world around me. Now I feel okay. I feel good. And again, that's a statement. I'm saying this because even though we're talking about her, it's a statement of how he's treating her. Okay? So what it really represents is how men ought to be thinking about how they're going to treat that special person in their life. Is so that they become comfort food for her. And everybody wants comfort food. Is there anybody that don't like comfort food in here? Nobody. You can be on a diet, and guess what? You still want some comfort food. You can say you're not going to eat anything. You can tell yourself all day long, you know what? I need to lose 35 pounds. And as soon as they put some baked macaroni and cheese up in there, and some fried chicken and some cornbread, guess what's going to happen? It's over with, ain't it? Why? Because I want that comfort food. Because this is another thing. Let me tell you something. I don't care how mad you are at somebody. I don't care how hurt you are with somebody. If the comfort food is right, you hungry. Okay? I don't care what's going on in your life. If the comfort food is right, you hungry, you'll eat it. Now, this is why I know. Okay? Now, I've been doing funeral services since 1989. I've been the officiant since 1989. And here's what I know. I don't care who died. I don't care if it's mom. I don't care if it's daddy. I don't care if it's husband. If it's husband, anybody crying a whole lot, no way. But I don't care if it's husband. I don't care if it's wife. I don't care who it is. By the time you get back to the repast, if the chicken is right, okay? If the macaroni and cheese is right, okay? Just like one time the lady came and had her man in the back of the church frying up their chicken, because they said they wanted to fry it up hot, okay? Somebody had a nerve to even bring some pig feet in here one time at a repast, okay? Now, it seemed like to me this is how it worked. The more you love the person, the better the comfort food is. If there's somebody that died that you didn't really care a whole lot about, like say your husband died. Your husband died, you ain't care about it, you know what you say? Well, y'all go on the farm first and get some of that chicken, bring it on up in here, right? But if it's somebody you love, that's when you got the pig feet, the pork chops, you got 2 or 3 meats, you got everything up in here. Why? Because you want that comfort food to make you feel better. She's saying that's what he is to her. I don't care what the situation, it makes her feel better just to know he's there. That says a lot about how he's treating her, right? Okay. His left hand is under my head. Can you just imagine this in you? Just imagine this as I'm reading, okay? His left hand is under my head, and his right hand doth embrace me. That's a smooth joke, ain't it, boy? That's joke smooth right there. That joke is smooth, ain't it? Yeah, I'm telling you right now. Good goobly goob. He working it, ain't it, boy? Yeah, he working it, ain't it? Gently caressing her, right? I charge you, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, by the roes and by the hinds of the field, that you stir not up nor awake my love till he please. Now that's a figure of speech that they happen to use in that day. Kind of like when we say something like, you know how when you're talking to somebody, you say, "In, please." You know what I'm saying? Everybody get what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's kind of a figure of speech, or "I wish you would." Like when you say, "I wish you would," what do you really mean? You mean you better not do it. But that's what you say, I wish that so-and-so would. But what they really mean is, you better not do it. And that's the kind of figure of speech this is. It's saying what? That you better not mess with my man. Because, he got his left hand under my head, and his right hand is embracing me. He working that right hand, see. The left hand stabilizing, and the right hand is doing the job, is working, is embracing. Embrace, that's a hand, ain't it? Embrace. So, and she's saying, y'all better not stir nothing up. Don't start nothing, don't be nothing. Don't come in here and make no noise, don't call nobody name. Matter of fact, don't even come in this corner of the castle. Okay? Yeah. All right. It's getting hot in here, ain't it? Yeah. Just thinking about that left hand and that right hand. Okay. The voice of my beloved, we're in verse 8 now. The voice of my beloved, behold, he cometh leaping upon the mountain, skipping upon the hills. That's rough, ain't it, boy? That's rough right there. My beloved is like a roe or a young hart. Behold, he standeth behind our wall. He looketh forth as the window, showing himself through the lattice. Now, why would she use that way to describe him? Why would she use that way, saying that my beloved cometh leaping upon the mountain, skipping upon the hills, and my beloved is like a roe or a young hart, right? Huh? Happy to see her. And he's happy, you're right. He's happy to see her, and he is a virile young man, right? Now, there's a difference between see what ladies said, oh, look out now. There's a difference between someone that's in my generation and someone that's in this young man's generation, right? Now, even though I have experience over him, still, you know what ladies be thinking? His muscles are stronger than Pastor Daniel. Them old muscles Pastor Daniel got, he can't do nothing. But a young man, you'd be like, and ladies, this is where it is now, all right? This is just an example, all right? When I became the pastor at Enoch Baptist Church, at that time I was 31 years old. I had just turned 31. Matter of fact, it was 5 days after I had turned 31, okay? And here's what the old ladies always said. We got us a young pastor. Oh, yeah. He got plenty of energy. Preach all day long. They just excited that it was a young man, So what she's describing is she's talking about his virility. Okay? Everybody over 21 understand what I'm saying? Okay, all right. What'd you say? What you say? He was you say he was like a Tootsie Roll Pop. What do you say, like a Tootsie Roll Pop? It's just you don't know when it's going to end, huh? You just keep Yeah, I'm here just like an Energizer bunny. Yeah, cut that out, Energizer bunny part. Cut that, you ain't got to cut it out. We grown. That's right. And she says this why? She says because what? Here's the point she's making. Remember what it says that when he's standing in the window, showing himself through the lattice. Well, what must he look like for her to look at him and think that way about him? See, right, she's seeing it this joker cut, right? He got like maybe 2% body fat. He be working out all the time. He got a 6-pack and a half. That's what it's talking. He just be sitting there looking out the window. This how you be doing, Rob. He just pulled the lattice back and just be sitting there just looking out the window like this right here. Yeah. That's right. So, yeah. Just profile it. Right. And she said, and she can see the sun as it glistens across his 6-pack and as the sweat just gently rolls down his biceps. Say, where he at? He dead now. He died about 2,000 years ago. About 4,000 years ago. He dead now. But there are some men like that still out there. Okay? And what I'm telling you, parents, is that that's what you should be teaching your son to be like, you know? Because really and truly, I'm telling you, is that if we don't teach our young men, especially our culture, all right? If we don't teach our young men to treat our daughters that way, we have failed them. You know, we will have grown another generation of baby daddies, you know, rather than raising a generation of fathers, you know, because, see, here's what you know. A good father will never be a baby's daddy. You get that? Because a good father will stay there and take care of what he knows has his DNA in him. All right. Verse 10 says, my beloved spake and said unto me, rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. See, she's still talking about how good he is and how he treats her. My beloved spake and said, rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. So he's telling, he's even now he's still lifting her up, right? By letting her know, you are the only one for me, and you are the most beautiful one in my eyes, right? And so that's what he says to her. He says, for lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone, the flowers appear on the earth, the time of singing of birds is come, and the voice of the turtle is heard in our land. Now, when he says the voice of a turtle, you know he doesn't mean that thing that comes, she doesn't mean that which crawls into a shell, right? Turtle is short for turtle dove. Do you all know what a turtle dove is? A turtle dove is something similar to a pigeon, okay? And so what he's symbolizing in is that love is in the air, okay? Anybody ever seen the movie Bambi? Is it Bambi? It is Bambi, when you grow up and get animals on his head, right? Yeah. What happens in the springtime in the movie? Y'all don't remember? My goodness, been that long. Huh? Okay, generally when you speak of springtime, everything has been in hibernation, right? Everything has been hibernating through the winter, right? The bears have been hibernating. Everything has been cold. If you are an animal like a deer, you hiding because you're trying to keep from getting eaten by the wolf, right? So everything is in just basic survival mode. When the spring comes, this is symbolism, okay? Everything has new life, right? So everything is coming renewed again. So you've been hibernating, you've been, you know, all that stuff all winter long. Now, what's the first thing you think animals are going to be thinking about then? When those birds come back and they start chirping, what's the first thing they start to do? They lay some eggs, right? So mating takes place. And that's what he's telling her, right? Hey, listen, my dear. You all remember the song by, can't think of his name right now, I'm drawing a mental blank. But the song is called Let's Get It On. Marvin Gaye, right, thank you. Girl, you young as you are, you know about Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye, all right now, that's right now, all right. This is, if you take these verses right here where it says from verse 10 to verse 13, if you sum that up, it would be in Marvin Gaye's song, Let's Get It On. Because that's what he's telling her right now. But he's telling her in a sweet way, you know. He's calling her what? You are the love of my life. You are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen, you know. And so he's captivating her and whispering in her ear. And then he tells her, baby, it's about time. You know, it's about time for us to go ahead, you know, to be grown. The fig tree putteth forth her green figs, and the vines with the tender grape give a good smell. Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. So he says, listen, let's go. Come be with me. All right? O my dove, thou, I'm in verse 14. O my dove, thou art in the clefts of the rock, in the secret place of the stairs. Let me see thy countenance, let me hear thy voice. For sweet is thy voice, and thy countenance is comely. Take us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. My beloved is mine, and I am his. He feedeth among the lilies until the daybreak and the shadows flee away. Turn, my beloved, and be thou like a roe or a young hart upon the mountains of Bether. So she says, he tells her, right, come go with me, right? Come with me, and he whispers sweet nothing in her ear, okay? And then you have her response to him saying, come go with me. And she says, the response is what? When it says, take us the foxes and little foxes that spoil the vines, for our wines have tender grapes. She's saying, take away anything that will spoil this occasion. We don't want anything to block this ecstasy. And then she says, because my beloved, you are mine, I am his. He feedeth among the lilies. Remember we talked about in the first couple of verses that she is among the others, but she says, I am the best. And so she says, until the daybreak. That's why she said she needed somebody with muscles. Until the daybreak and the shadows flee away, my beloved, be thou like a roe. Be thou like a roe means what? Mount me, okay? Or a young hart upon the mountains of Bether. So she's saying, I want you to make sweet, passionate love to me for an extended period of time, right? We want to be in each other's arms and just sharing our love one for the other, okay? Now, again, remember what I said at the beginning of this chapter, that if your marriage is like that, it will sustain itself through anything, okay? If you keep the fires hot like that, it'll go through broke money, no money, little money, broke money, whatever. It'll go through all that kind of stuff, okay? If you don't have a marriage like that, then you need some money in the marriage, okay? You got to have a two, 3 diamond carat ring to stay there. You know, you got to have an Escalade to stay there. But this is the kind of love that For My Man was made about. Okay? All right. Y'all ready for chapter 3? We can at least get partway through it. Anybody ready to go home? I'm going to keep on rolling. We'll keep on rolling then, all right. Okay. By night on my bed, oh, it's getting hot now. Oh, it's getting ready to get hot now. Getting ready to get hot. Right. Woo! Deacon, y'all might have to get some cold ice water right now. It's getting ready to get hot up in here. She says, by night on my bed, I sought him, whom my soul loveth. I sought him, but I found him not. Now, why do you think she said, I sought him, but I found him not? If you relate that to verse chapter 2, related to chapter 2, why do you think that chapter 3 opens up this way? Okay, I'll help you. Huh? Oh, okay, all right. Let's put it this way. If your husband, okay, if your husband rocks you to sleep, right? If he rock you to sleep, and you wake up the next day, and that's how he rocked you to sleep. If you woke up the next day, he knocked you out. What's going to be on your mind when you open your eyes? Where is your head? I need him again. Right? That's because this is in relation to what she's just talked about. They've just talked about what? A romantic interlude that was exciting for everybody. So then she said what? By night on my bed, I sought him. Here it is, I'm ready for round 2. And I don't know where he's at, right? She says, but I will arise now. And this is her speaking, right? I will rise now, verse 2, and go about the city in the streets, and in the broad ways I will seek him whom my soul loveth. I sought him, but I found him not. Now, guys, I'm trying to help you out again. Now, you know, this was a heck of a man right here, ain't he? That homegirl say, what? I know it's midnight. I know it's dark outside. I know some thieves and robbers out there, but I'm going to find this man. Right? Now, right, she got a flashlight, got a candle or something, looking for this man. Now, so guys, here's the long and short of it. If ain't nobody hunting you down like that, you need to go back and read Song of Solomon about 3-4 more times. Okay? Verse 3. The watchmen that go about the city found me, to say, to whom I said, saw ye him whom my soul loveth? But it was but a little that I passed, from them. But I found him whom my soul loveth. I held him and would not let him go until I had brought him into my mother's house and into the chamber of her that conceived me. So she said, I know, that's a right there. Boy, look here. I told you go get some ice water, didn't I? She said, what? I looked and they did not know where he was, but I kept searching, right? I kept searching till I found him, and I held him tight, and I would not let him go. And then what did she do? She took him to her mother's house. And then when she got to her mom's house, what did she do? Now, didn't go to the little bedroom, you know, because mama got a nice bedroom. She didn't go to the bedroom where the kids sleep at. She went to mama's bedroom. Mama, you got to get out of here. Now, you know, let me tell you something. If you kick your mama out the bed, now that's a tough woman. That's a tough man. Anytime the man had you putting your mama out her bed, mama, go in there and fry some chicken for my man. Ain't nobody got time to mess with you. And some baked macaroni and cheese. That's right. I'm dead. It's tough. That's tough man right here, boy. That's tough. All right now. Yeah, took him where? In the chambers of her that conceived me. I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem. And here's that same reference again, right? When we say, I wish you would. I charge you, daughters of Jerusalem, by the roes and by the hinds of the field, that you stir not up nor awake my love till he please. Right? She's saying, listen, I'm letting all y'all know, mama, you included, don't be no fool, mama. I'm letting y'all know, don't nobody better come knock on this door. All right? Nobody better not do nothing until my man say it's over with. Everything. Then y'all can come and say something to me. Until then, you better not stir nothing up in there. All right? Man, that's some tough stuff right there, brothers. Brothers, you need to, brothers, we got to up the game, man. I'm going to have a class, Brother Rob. I'm going to hold a class, man. So brothers know how to up their game around here. Okay? Now here's why I'm saying that right now. See, if the brothers was up in their game, these ladies wouldn't even be in Bible study. They'd be home soon. They'd be home frying us some chicken and cooking us some macaroni and cheese.
I'm sorry, ladies. I had to be that.
Okay, all right. But you know, when you think about the Bible, you don't think about intimacy. Not like this. I know this. Well, remember I told you that traditionally in the Hebrew culture, you had to be a grown man before you could read Song of Solomon. You know, because it was like an X-rated book. But it is about reality. It really deals with what intimacy ought to be like, you know, between people that are husband and wife. And it just so happened that for Solomon, he could have more than one wife. And for us, you know, over one wife will get you killed. So you got to stick with one. Okay. Verse 6 says, Who is this that cometh out of the wilderness like pillars of smoke, perfumed with myrrh and frankincense, with all powders of the merchant? Behold, his bed, which is Solomon's. Threescore valiant men are about it, of the valiant of Israel. So she's describing now what? Her standing off and seeing him come to her, right? So now we've gone through what? We've gone through 2 rounds, right? Went through 1 round in chapter 2. We went through another round in the first part of this chapter. And now we get into round 3. Okay? What a man. That's all I got to say. What a man. Now, as she says now she kind of lets us in based on the verbiage of who her lover is. So before, all we knew, it was just some man, even though I told you all it was Solomon. But she didn't actually tell you that until this point, in the song. So now she says what? I see him coming out of the wilderness, and I beheld the bed, which is Solomon's bed. And he had all these valiant men around him, because back in that time, you would have men on either side that were ensuring the safety of the king as they carried him forward. Okay? Behold, his bed, which is Solomon's, 80 valiant men are about it, of the valiant of Israel. So these are the best, strongest men in Israel, right? They all hold swords, being expert in war. Every man hath his sword upon his thigh, because of fear in the night. King Solomon made himself a chariot of the wood of Lebanon. So his bed was an expensive bed. Okay, the wood of Lebanon was extremely expensive. In fact, that was some of the wood that was traditionally used in the building of the temple. So it's very expensive wood. He made the pillars thereof of silver, the bottom thereof of gold, the covering of it of purple, the midst thereof being paved with love for the daughters of Jerusalem. Look, Solomon ain't nothing but the truth. Okay? Solomon ain't nothing but truth. Listen, can I describe that bed one more time? He made the pillars thereof of silver. That's his bed, silver. The bottom thereof of gold. The covering of it of purple. And purple signifies royalty. And the midst thereof, in the midst thereof, being paved with what? Love. That means what? That bed was what do you call it? The firmness of the bed was just right. So it wasn't too soft, so you didn't sink all the way in. It wasn't too hard for your back to be hurting. But it was just right for intimacy. That's what he's describing, or she's describing. That he made, you got to be, look here, you got to be a bad motor scooter. That you engineer a bed just for that purpose. Can you imagine going to Haynes Furniture Store? And look here, sir, this is what I need to get. I know you got that orthopedic mattress, but I don't know. I need the one that's just right for 32 positions. You got one like that? That's the one I need. I mean, think about it. I'm just saying, But that's how meticulous she's saying he is, because he wants to make sure when we're together it's perfect, that everything is perfect. I'm jealous of Solomon right now, because he's making all of us look bad. Okay? That's right. Because ain't a man in here went to buy a mattress thinking about that. All we thought about was the price tag. Right? Pretty much in it. That's all we thought about was the price tag. That was it.
You can get it on layaway.
Well, you can't get this one on layaway though. You believe it? Okay. Because think about what he said. Why did he make the bed full of love? For himself? No. It said for the daughters of Jerusalem. So he made his bed thinking about what? Women. In his mind was, how can this bed best accommodate the love of my life? That's a tough guy there.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah. Go forth, O ye daughters of Zion, and behold King Solomon with the crown wherewith his mother crowned him in the day of his espousal, and in the day of gladness of his heart. So she's saying to them, then it's what? She's bragging, right? She's bragging, saying, listen, look, but you cannot touch, because he's mine, right? I mean, that to me sets the stage. Didn't take us long to get through that, did it? No, but it was still hot though, wasn't it? Yeah, it was still hot. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start forward. We got 10 minutes. We might as well keep on rolling. Might as well keep rolling. Behold, thou art fair, my love. Behold, thou art fair. Thou hast dove's eyes within thy locks. Thy hair is as a flock of goats that appear from Mount Gilead. Thy teeth are like a flock of sheep that are even shorn, which came up from the washing, whereof every one bears twins, and none is barren. So now what we have is Solomon describing her. Okay? So now he's dealing with her a little bit, all right? And so he's saying about her facial features, even though all she thought about was how dark she was, right? But he's looking at individual features. Where she saw her face, he sees her eyes. He sees her nose. He even is astonished at her teeth. Okay? Because when he says her teeth are like a flock of sheep that are evenly shorn, he's meaning that, you know, when you shear them, that they're all straight. They all are the same. So she doesn't have any rotten teeth, right? And then it says what? Also they are what? Every one bear twins, none is barren among them. So everyone has been washed white, and there is none, everyone has a twin. There is none barren among them. Meaning what? There are no missing teeth in her mouth. And remember, they did not have dentists, they did not have fluoride, they did not have deep cleaning, they did not have Listerine, they didn't have all that stuff back then. But he was saying, I'm looking at every detail of you. I'm looking at your hair and how it gently falls on your neck. I'm looking at your dimples. I'm looking at every detail. I'm not just seeing the color. I'm seeing you as a person. And that which I see is beautiful. You know, now, again, guys, even though this is him talking, it gives us insight. Think about it. It gives us insight to how to court a woman. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Ladies, how would it make you feel if a man was talking to you and he remembered every detail of your face? If he remembered what what hairstyle you had on when he first saw you, even you when you did not know he was looking at you. If you remember the outfit you had on when you were sitting on the second row on the third Sunday in December. That'd be a tough joke there, wouldn't it? If when he talked about you, I mean, just in general conversation, you know, nothing, no slick stuff, but just in general conversation, you say, hey, you know what, that blue outfit you had on, you know, when you came to church, you remember when the pastor had Pastor Appreciation Day? He said, hey, what, in October? You remember that? And you came up, you had that girl, that blue dress. I like that. That really fits you. You know, it really showed what the type of classy woman that you are. Now you have to think back. Wait a minute, what did I have on back then? Then you go home and look in the closet, right? I got that dress right there. Then you put it on. Now you be like, you know what? I do look kind of good in this dress, don't I? I do come think of it. Now, guess what's going to happen next Sunday? You wearing that dress. You come right on up in here wearing that dress. See? If he, dove's eyes, right? Dove's eyes are what? Soft and alluring. If he's talking to you about the color of your eyes, right? Now, because this is the thing. The average man see you in the club, he ain't looking at your eyes, is he? What are you looking at? Right? Y'all know exactly, because sometimes y'all will say something like this. Look up here, don't look down there. Look. Talk to me. Don't talk to them, talk to me. Right? But what you want him to do what? Is see you and not just a particular body part that you might accentuate. But that's what he's saying. The lips are like a thread of scarlet. So what? Red lips, right? Verse 3. And thy speech is comely. Thy temples are like a piece of a pomegranate within thy locks. So he's talking about how her hair falls down and caresses itself against her cheeks, But he's doing it in poetic language to say, baby, you know what? Girl, you just flat out beautiful. Every detail about you is beautiful. Every little thing. Thy neck is like the Tower of David, builded for an armory, whereon there hang 1,000 bucklers and shields of mighty men. So he's saying to her, yes, you may be sturdy, but you know what? Your sturdiness, because remember she thought how she worked all the time? He's saying, but your sturdiness is what gives you a stately look. Right? It's stately, because he's invoking the king and his tower. You're like David, you're stately. He said, thy two breasts, oh my God, look out somebody. Thy two breasts are like two young roes that are twins, which feed among the lilies. He said what? Ain't none of this, you got a cup that one side is a B and the other one is a C. Right? He said, but they twins. Right? They twins. He's saying, when he says what? They are twins which feed among they're like young roes, right? Young roes, that feed among the lilies, right? He's really saying that they are without blemish. That in his mind, he's saying that they are perfect, without blemish. And when he said they're like young roes, okay, like young roes, what did you say? You said it? Go ahead, say it again. He said, right, that they are perky. He's saying what? They're not hanging down to your waistline yet. Listen, I didn't write this. We just reading it, right? That's what he said. They're like young roes, young twins, perfect in nature. All right? Okay. Right. All right, so here's what we're going to do, because I got 7:58, and it kind of, now we take it in a different direction now. So I'm going to hold it right there. And because y'all can't take it away at night no way. Y'all, somebody. Yeah, so we better stop right there for listen, I'm trying to tell you. Okay, all right. So we're going to stop right there. But again, finish reading the chapter. If you haven't finished reading the chapter, I know some of you already know I was going to get this far. So if you only read up through chapter 2, go ahead and go back and read, 2, 3, come on, read 4. I would suggest to you that you go ahead, and do, let's read, go ahead and read chapter 5 and chapter 6, just to keep honest, all right? Just in case we keep going. Because, when we're doing the scripted stuff, it kind of goes a little fast, right? Well, how'd you read it? I'm just curious now. How'd you read it?
I'm just saying, you give us options, and I guess if you can visualize and see things, when we read it, just don't flow in my head this way. Actually, nothing about the Bible flows in my head.
Oh, okay.
The way you describe it.
Oh, okay. Well, now that I'm putting it in, because this will be kind of like you read a poem, right? If you read a poem, unless you understand, how the poet writes, you may not get everything, right? But now that you're understanding the language and the phraseology, does it make it clear? Yeah. But if this was the first book before Genesis, it'd be a lot of multiplying, wouldn't it? Yeah. But yeah, Solomon's book, Song of Songs, it's just, to me personally, it just is, and certainly it's a grown folk book, right? But it talks about real stuff. I mean, all the books talk about real stuff. Let me say that right there. All of them do. But oftentimes, when we're reading other books in the Bible, we talk a lot about the spiritual, the mystical kind of stuff. People want to know all that kind of stuff, how did God create that? They want to know the miracles, the creation. We don't oftentimes get into everyday stuff of how to deal with everyday kind of stuff. We do a little bit, but not oftentimes. We definitely don't talk about intimacy. Rarely in the Bible do people talk about intimacy, because especially in Protestant churches, because we act like, intimacy is something so evil. Oh my God, so evil. We act like that we didn't come from somebody being intimate, and we all did. We also act like everybody in church is a bunch of virgins, which we know that ain't true, right? But what we also know is that the more that is one thing to talk about sex, it's another thing to talk about being intimate. Song of Solomon is not about sex. It's about being intimate. It's about bonding with somebody, emotionally and physically. It's about connecting with them so that they feel you and you feel them. And that's when you have a great relationship. Okay? All right.
And with other wives, you didn't have that bond with them? Just her?
Well, there's always a favorite. I think I mentioned it to y'all last week, right? You don't remember that? Well, maybe you don't. I mean, I did, but I don't think maybe it didn't come across this way. Remember I said this to y'all last week? Here's what you can bank on. That any man that chooses you has already told you, you are the most beautiful woman that I know. See, he's already told you that. Because, and from the rest of it is how you approach him and how you push him away or not push him away. Now, granted, every man is not intelligent, so let me say that up front. So when I used to go to an optometrist, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he had a plaque on the wall that said this: what the eyes admire, the heart will desire. Okay? You can take that one to the bank. Anybody that picks you, when I say pick you, I don't mean took you home for one night stands. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about anybody that picked you for a long-term relationship has already said to you, you're the most beautiful woman I know. Now, you can change his mind. But that's why he picked you. It's just that. And so that's it. So and that's what all Solomon and her are saying here is that, hey, you know what? And I don't know if she was the first one he picked or not, but she was that one which in his mind he was saying, you are the most beautiful of everybody. That connection that the two of us have, the way you connect with me and the way I connect with you, is more special than my connection with anybody else of my wives and of my concubines. Because I don't care what anybody says, no one loves two people equally. No one. Your parents can say all they want to say. And parents, y'all can lie to your kids all you want. I love all y'all the same. No, you don't. No, you don't. Some of them jokers, you wish it was not illegal to have an abortion. They're 32 years old. Like, I wish I could get an abortion right now. Right? Because you don't. You know what I mean? Your siblings, if you got more than one sibling, you don't love them all the same. A couple of them you sick of. And you might love them, but not the same. You don't even love your parents the same. Some people love their father more than they love their mother. Some people love their mother more than their father. So we all have our favorites, Some of y'all love me. Some of y'all love him. This is the way it is. Now y'all you're gonna be the public. You're not gonna say it publicly. I love Reverend William more than I love Reverend Daniel. You ain't gonna say it publicly, but then you're gonna leave here and say, I sure with them when class we start back up, cause that's class I love to be in. I don't know. We down here in day class. He talking sex and all this kind of stuff. He talking about the rest of the season, all kind of, you know. But you know, that's it. It's true, right? Don't shake your head too hard now. Look, see right here. Let me shut up before I get mad. I'm just teasing with you now. I'm just teasing. Okay, at least you heard her, right? She told you, brother, that she loved you more than she loved me. And she said, it's the truth. I don't care what you say like that. It's the truth. But it's all right. You know why? Because they love me more than they love him. Okay. Let's get out of here before somebody gets jealous. Lord, we thank you for tonight, and we thank you, Master, for your word. And I just thank you, God, for being real in each of our lives. And I pray, Lord, that you will continue to guide each of us and keep us, Father. Give us, Lord, the kind of loving heart that demonstrates to others that we are your children. We ask you to give safe passage for each of us back to our appointed destinations. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you. Y'all have a wonderful day now. All right?